My name is Alara. I am 29 years old now, and today I want to tell you a story. Not a perfect story, not a proud story, but a real story. A story about love, mistakes, and truth. Before we begin, take a moment. Where are you listening from, and what time is it right now? Tell me in the comments, and if you enjoy emotional English stories, don't forget to subscribe to Pro English Stories. I grew up in a quiet town. Life was simple, peaceful, predictable. It was just me and my mother. Her name was Nadia. My father left when I was very young. I don't remember much about him, but I remember my mother's silence, her tired eyes, her lonely nights. I remember the way she would sit by the window after dinner, looking outside without really seeing anything, as if her thoughts were somewhere far away, somewhere I could never reach. I always wished she could smile again. Not the polite smile she gave others, but a real one, the kind that comes from happiness. When I turned 18, everything started to change. One evening, my mother came home with a soft smile, something I hadn't seen in years. It was small, but it was real. "There's someone I want you to meet," she said. That's when I first saw Daniel. He stood at the door, confident but gentle, dressed neatly, with a calm presence. The kind of man who made you feel safe without even trying. He greeted me warmly, spoke to me with respect, asked about my studies, my dreams, my interests. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. Not as a responsibility, not as someone's daughter, but as a person. My mother looked happy, truly happy. Her eyes had a light in them again, and that made me happy too. Soon, Daniel became a regular part of our life. He brought flowers for my mother, he fixed things around the house, he laughed at her small jokes, and he listened to her in a way no one else did. For me, he brought small gifts, books, chocolates, little things that felt thoughtful. He felt like a solution to our broken family, like something we had been missing for years. After a few months, they decided to get married. The wedding was simple, but beautiful. My mother wore a white dress. She looked younger, brighter, alive, and I stood there thinking this is what happiness looks like. After the wedding, Daniel moved in. At first, everything was normal, comfortable. He treated me with care, respected my space, encouraged my studies. Sometimes, he would sit with me while I studied, bringing me tea, asking if I needed help. It felt supportive, warm, safe. But slowly, things started to feel different. Not suddenly, not clearly, just small changes, almost invisible. It was the way he looked at me sometimes. A little longer than normal, a little deeper than it should have been. The way his tone changed when my mother wasn't around. Softer, more personal. I ignored it. I told myself I was overthinking, that I was imagining things, but deep inside, something didn't feel right. My mother worked long hours. She wanted to give us a better life, and that meant she was rarely home. That left me and Daniel alone for most of the day. At first, he filled the silence with conversation. He talked about his past, his struggles, his dreams. He asked me about my feelings, my fears, my thoughts. No one had ever asked me those things before, and I answered, slowly at first, then more openly. It felt like care, like connection. But over time, it started to feel heavier, more intense, more personal than it should have been. One day, I came home feeling completely broken. I had failed an important exam, something I had worked so hard for. I sat on the couch, trying not to cry, but the tears came anyway, quiet at first, then uncontrollable. Daniel came and sat beside me. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're stronger than this." His voice was calm, comforting. Then he held my hand, and something changed. Something shifted in that moment. I didn't pull away. I didn't understand why, but I didn't stop him. That moment became a turning point. After that day, things moved differently. He started texting me at night when my mother was asleep. At first, the messages were normal, simple, caring. Did you eat? How was your day? Take care. But slowly, they changed. You're special. You understand me. You're different from others. And I believed him because I wanted to, because it felt good to be important to someone. I was young, confused, and emotionally alone. And he knew that. He understood exactly where I was vulnerable, and he used it. We started meeting outside, quiet places, cafes far from home, parks where no one knew us. He said people wouldn't understand us, that what we had was different, special. And I believed that too. I started lying to my mother. Small lies at first, then bigger ones. Every lie hurt, but not enough to stop me, because Daniel made me feel seen, chosen, important. Time passed. I turned 21. On my birthday, he gave me a necklace. Simple, elegant, but meaningful. Only from me, he said. That moment felt special, too special. That night, everything changed. I have feelings for you, he said. My world stopped. Everything inside me froze. I knew it was wrong. I knew it shouldn't happen. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Because by then, I was already emotionally trapped. He told me he never loved my mother the way he loved me. He said I was his real happiness, that we were meant to be together, and I believed him, not because it was true, but because it felt real. That was my biggest mistake. He started talking about a future, a life together, a new beginning, just me and him. I felt guilty, so deeply guilty, but I ignored it. Because I thought this was love. It wasn't. It was manipulation, but I couldn't see it then. Soon, he left my mother. She was broken, completely broken. I remember the way she sat on the floor, crying in a way I had never seen before. And I stood there, silent, unable to move, unable to speak. I didn't tell her the truth. I couldn't. After the divorce, he asked me to marry him, and I said yes. I thought I was choosing love, but I was choosing destruction. When my mother found out, it destroyed her. She cried, she screamed, she begged me to understand, but I didn't listen, because I had convinced myself that I was right, that she didn't understand. But the truth was, I didn't understand. We got married, a quiet wedding. Almost no one came, no celebration, no joy, just a decision, and that should have been a sign, but I ignored that too, because I was blind. After the wedding, everything changed. Daniel changed, and the kind, gentle man disappeared. A cold, controlling version of him took his place. He checked my phone, controlled where I went, questioned every decision, every word. He didn't trust me. The same man who once said I understand you, now said you are nothing without me. His words hurt, but worse than that, they trapped me. Slowly, I lost myself, my confidence, my voice, my identity, everything. One night, after a terrible argument, I ran. I didn't think, I didn't plan, I just ran. Out of the house, into the cold night, with tears, fear, and regret. I had nowhere to go, except one place, my mother's house. I stood at the door, shaking. Then I knocked, again and again. At first, she didn't open it, and I understood why. I had broken her heart, but I kept knocking, because I had nothing left. End quote, end quote, end quote, end quote, end quote. I end quote, end quote, end quote, end quote, end quote, end quote. I kept knocking. And finally, the door opened. She stood there, looking at me, not with anger, but with pain. Deep, silent pain. I fell to my knees. I said, "I'm sorry." Again and again. That night, I told her everything. Every lie, every mistake, every truth. She listened, quietly, without interrupting. She didn't forgive me immediately, but she let me stay, and that saved me. I decided to leave Daniel, for good. It wasn't easy. He tried to stop me, tried to manipulate me again, but something had changed inside me. I could finally see the truth. After the divorce, I started therapy. I learned about manipulation, control, emotional dependency. I learned how easily love can be confused with attention, how easily care can turn into control. And slowly, I started rebuilding my life, step by step, day by day. My relationship with my mother took time, a lot of time. Trust doesn't return quickly, but we didn't give up. We tried, again and again, until one day she hugged me and whispered, "I forgive you." That moment changed everything. Today, I live a simple life, peaceful, free, and most importantly, real. I share my story not for sympathy, but for awareness. Because sometimes what feels like love is not love at all. Sometimes it is control. If something feels wrong, trust that feeling. If someone isolates you, controls you, confuses you, that is not love. Real love does not break you. It builds you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Pro English Stories, because every story here helps you learn English and understand life. Keep learning, keep growing.